up, Gato Squad? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Elias, and if you are new here and want daily car content, consider subscribing. So the reason we're back here today is because we're actually going to be taking a look at the exhaust and everything under the car for the exhaust, because we're going to be modifying the exhaust very soon, and I've been trying to find which is the best way to modify it. Do I delete the resonator? Do I delete the mufflers? Do I delete everything? Do I replace the whole thing? And I've looked at a lot of different videos online on how they sound and things like that. So let's go ahead and start looking at the exhaust and seeing what I should do. We're gonna hear some actual exhausts that are out for the Type R, and then I'll make a decision at the end of the video. So let's get started. Alright, so now that the car is safely in the air, let's take a quick look around it. Very low there. Got this wheel in there in case something wants to fail on me, so I can survive a fall. Alright, so now that we have the car up in the air, and before we get under it, I want to first talk about our options for exhausts and what we can do. So I've looked online, I've looked all over the forums and everywhere, and I've seen that first of all, there's not that many options available for the Type R yet, and that's to be expected. The car's only 3 months old. It's been here for about 3 or 4 months. So manufacturers are still testing their products and getting their tests out and making exhaust as we speak. But the ones that are already out, like Scorpion, Militech, I believe Borla as well, they just don't have that sound that I'm looking for. I want a nice deep tone. I don't want any raspiness. I want something that's, that's gonna be a little bit louder, but not too much louder. Little bit of deeper tone. Maybe plays on the fact that this sounds like a vacuum cleaner. So, make it a louder vacuum cleaner maybe. I don't know, something that sounds awesome. And right now, there's not many options for that, and the options that are out are kind of expensive. For $1,500, $2,000 for an exhaust, I think it's a bit too much. I've paid like between $800 and $1,200 for exhaust before. I'm comfortable with that. Anything more than that, I mean, it's got to be hugely good exhaust. So, all right, let's get under the car real quick, take a look at the exhaust, and let's talk about it. All right, so first things first, let's take a look at the tips and what they look like. So if you see right there, 2 of them are pretty dirty, pretty sooty. The middle one is pretty shiny and clean. Now, I was expecting all 3 of them to be kind of the same, but what it is that the middle one is actually used more as an intake of air. So when you're really accelerating really hard, the middle one sucks in air, and it really is used to stop the droning of the 4-cylinder exhaust sound. So I don't know if you've owned 4 cylinders before, and if you have aftermarket exhaust, it's difficult to make them for 4-cylinder cars because they don't really sound that good. They sound raspy. The word fart cannon comes to mind. So it's something that you really got to be careful with, and Honda, I think it did a really good job at making it sound okay. They just made it too quiet, and I think part of the reason why they made it too quiet is because this car is a global car now, and they have to meet regulations globally. So and instead of making a different exhaust for different markets, they're gonna make one exhaust. It's just a better company policy in terms of ease of manufacturing and economies of scales and things like that. So they made it basically as quiet as they need to for the quietest regulations, and that's what we got. So it's up to us to make it a little bit louder. And as I was telling you about before, there are different exhausts, and you guys heard them all. I just put them on for you. And you know, I'm not really a big fan. They all sound very raspy and very, you know, they're okay. You know, it's just not my taste. So I'm gonna have to find my own solution. I think the solution might have to be custom made exhaust. So I'm gonna get with a welder, and we're gonna see what we can do. But before we do that, let's dive deeper and take a look at what we got. So starting at the front all the way over there, we have not one but two different resonators. You can see right there, there's the first resonator and the second resonator is right back there. So what those do is basically they clean up the sound and they stop any crazy vibrations from getting into the cabin. I'm not a big fan of removing those. Those are there to make it comfortable inside the car. And yeah, it does dampen the sound quite a bit. But, you know, I don't want to be driving on the highway and have a very drony exhaust. That's not something that I'm looking for. So I think for now, I'm going to leave them in place. And I do want to make a note here. I think Honda did a really good job with all the paneling. You see all that panel there and that panel right there. That's for aerodynamics, and that's really cool that this car has that. It's well done by Honda. And I also want to point out that this is actually a very high quality exhaust. So if... you know, I want to be careful with what I do with it, because to replace it is probably very, very expensive, as this is very high quality steel right here, and the welds are actually pretty high quality as well. So, you know, I'm pretty impressed with it. So going up here, let's take a look at these three exhausts. So looking at these exhausts here, so we have all the way at the back, I'm pretty sure this is just another resonator, and this is a muffler and that's a muffler. Now the difference between resonators and mufflers is that this is to change the sound, this is to dampen the sound. So this is going to dampen the sound a lot. This is going to make the exhaust sound a lot less loud, and like I said, that's good for regulations, but it's not good if you're trying to hear the exhaust when you're changing gears. So after looking at the exhaust, I really, like I said, don't want to mess with it too much. So as you can see here, we have a nice hanger here, very high quality. We're going to leave this alone. I think we're going to cut it right here and then right here. I'm going to take this piece off. We're just going to weld a straight pipe from there to there. Keep it nice and simple, nice and cheap, and it shouldn't affect too much. Now what's interesting is that there's like a connector pipe right here. I'm also going to leave that alone. So I'm not going to take that off. I'm going to leave it right there where it is. I think that's more used as a support for all three to kind of make sure they're all lined up at all times. So I'm going to leave that alone as well. I'm going to leave this alone as well. I believe this is used to kind of take away any droniness of the exhaust, and I want to have it continue to do that. So I'm hoping that by taking the mufflers off, I'm not taking away the function of this resonator. So it'll still suck up air through here, and it'll dampen the sound. It'll make it sound a little deeper, a little better, and that's, I think, what I'm going to do. So both of those mufflers removed. Now let's take a closer look here. I want to show you that this muffler is hooked up to this muffler hanger here. I'm not sure if I should fab up a piece from the straight pipe that's going to be here all the way to there. Let me know what you guys think. I think it should be okay without it. It has, you know, a lot of high quality hangers, but you know, this seems to be a pretty structural piece, and may take some time and effort to fab that up. And I could probably ask my guy to do that. We'll have a conversation about it, but let me know what you guys think in the comments. A couple other things I want to note now that we're under here is that there's no rear center lift point, as there are in many other cars. You know, the S2000 has a nice, well, the differential really back there to kind of lift it from. Back here, since it's a front wheel drive car, there's no back differential, so really there's no space to lift the car up from the back. So what you got to do is you got to use the left and the right lift points, and then put jack stands under them to lift the car. Like I said, I'm very impressed with the aerodynamics and the underbody aerodynamics that Honda has put in place. That gas tank that's right there, that plastic piece right there, way too small. They should have made it bigger, but I guess that's all the space they've had. And I do want to point out that rear sway bar. That one is very, very large sway bar. This right here, very thick, very solid sway bar. It adds a lot of torsional rigidity. If you have a hatchback, I recommend getting the Type R sway bar. I think it fits. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure it fits. Putting it on your hatchback, it'll make it drive a little bit better. Alright guys, like I said, after listening to the other exhaust and the options and the resonator deletes and things like that, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to just delete those 2 mufflers, put them straight pipe, and possibly, you know, make sure we brace it so that it doesn't move around. And we'll see how it sounds. I think it's going to sound okay. It's going to be a little bit louder, which is what I want. It's not going to be any raspiness or anything like that to it, I hope. We shall see, and I'll live with whatever it comes out with, because I'm really just waiting for a nice aftermarket exhaust option to come out, you know, something around the $1,000 range that'll sound really good, and it'll be good for the car. So that pretty much wraps it up here, guys. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you haven't yet, please go ahead and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace out.